How are you going to raise your kids differently than your parents raising you? Consistency, explaining when asked, especially regarding discipline, supporting them in their ambitions, which means helping research education and how to get into the field, encouraging creativity beyond the hobby level. I want to know about my kids. I want to share in their interests. I care how they feel and what they have to say. Consistency, especially with your spouse. Sometimes my wife and I disagree, but if I tell the kids to do something, my wife backs me up. If she goes overboard or underboard on something, I back her up. We don't contradict each other. And if the kids try to use us against each other or manipulate us, Daddy said I could is probably going to be double checked. We shut that down. I won't go batshit crazy over tiny things that don't matter. I won't play favorites if I have more than one. I won't demand perfection on everything, every time, and then yell and scream and punish when it isn't. I will let my children largely make their own decisions, and just guide them, or offer choices alternatives. That playing favorites thing is really important. I was the unwanted firstborn that ruined everybody's lives. My planned brother and sister definitely got treated better, to the point that they could see it when they were 8 or 9. I think it has really contributed to the problems I've had later in life. 1. I will not assume what is important to my children. 2. If my children get upset because something scares them, I won't judge them on it and say they're pretending and full of crap. 3. I will yell less, a lot less. Yes to the yelling. My mother yelled and screamed a lot while I was growing up. Sometimes she would throw things. She even broke something violently in front of my brothers and I because the bedroom was a mess. There were times when I was actually terrified of her. I would never put my children through that. Worse, my parents were literally perfect. I could not even begin to be as good as they were. Your parents must have been great. Not a lot of people can say that about their parents' raising capabilities. They really must be special. View them as separate people rather than extensions of myself. Instead of shaming them for being angry, teach them how to express their anger, letting my actions speak for me instead of my words, listening to them. You are gonna be a badass parent. I don't want to talk about weight and dieting constantly in front of my daughter. I grew up hearing my mom complain every day about how fat she was and talk about the latest diet she was on. She's never been overweight. She'd call herself fat and ugly and then turn to me and say, "But you're so beautiful." It made no sense. How could I be beautiful if my mom thinks she's ugly and I look just like her? I struggled with anorexia when I was 14. My self-esteem is in the gutter. My mom still asks me if I've lost or gained weight. Constantly. My daughter will get body imagine messages from friends and media, but I want to try my best to make sure what she's hearing at home from me is positive. Overall, my parents are awesome though. First and foremost, I'm going to actually raise my kids and not leave. My parents always put a strong emphasis on practical things, good grades, work ethic, etc. But when it came to a healthy and balanced emotional development, they were lost. Couldn't talk to them, couldn't confide in them, trust them to give me good advice or trust them to even react appropriately. I want to be there more for my children in that aspect. I agree. My parents were similar except that emphasis is replaced with demanding. I will do everything in my power to make sure they don't become overweight. This is exactly what I came here to say. I have a hard time not being upset with my parents for teaching me the eating habits I have. I've been overweight since the age of 10. It's up to me now to fix them, and I can't blame them for my weight now, but if I had learned proper habits when I was a child, losing weight would be a little less challenging. 1. I will yell less. 2. I won't punish them for their phobias. 3. I will never ever hit punch them. I will never ever hit them. Good job. It is crazy that our society tolerates hitting children. I am 18 and so far after looking at other children I won't be lying if I would say that my parents raised me in the very best way possible. The only different thing that I'll do is that I will just take more holidays and vacations to spend with my family and children so that they have more memories and skills. I won't have any kids. Instead, I'll be the cool aunt who spoils the crap out of my sister's kids and also makes sure they love reading early on. Need to make sure those brats are smart little cookies and know that they're very loved. That is exactly my plan. I have great parents, and I love them very much. That being said, I'm sick and tired of the whole why because I said so thing. I get that you're the adult, and you're smarter than me and whatnot, but all I'm asking is why you're supposed to throw the snow ahead of you, rather than off to the side. I'm trying to learn, and it's like I've insulted his intelligence or something. Also, I'm not planning on having kids anyway, but if I would to, I'd answer their questions. This. Also apologize to your kid when you frick up. That's what always got me about my parents. There was no self-awareness or responsibility there. I won't cheat on my wife, leave her multiple times, or be an alcoholic. So really, like, I'll actually know my kids. 5 and 2-year-old I actually spend time with them even if that just means playing video games with them, not just putting them in a room away from me with video games. I will help them with homework and not say I teach all day. I won't do it at home. I won't put them to sleep in a pitch black room with no music right after watching Z-Files and be surprised when they have chronic nightmares of aliens. All because mom didn't like having light or noise. She at least had another human being to keep her safe. I play with them outside, even on days where I feel like crap, even if I'm just out there to keep them safe. I don't overprotective of them. She wants to climb trees? No problem. Do I expect to spend time with them at the hospital when she falls? Heck yeah. I will work out with them once they can follow a 20 minutes yoga tai chi routine. I won't force feed them food. I won't say how skinny they are and give them a complex. I will provide them with a well-balanced meal at least twice a day. I won't encourage them to spend all their time in the house just so I can feel safe knowing they are close. I will let them make mistakes, and I will not punish them for it. They've already failed. Why add salt? If my kid is sleeping in every day or getting irate with his siblings, I'll take it as a sign of something being wrong with his mental well-being. I won't try to scream at and shame him at every opportunity such that he resents being around me, thus driving him to feel more alone and depressed than he must already be. I will not make them eat instant mashed potatoes. But I love instant mashed potatoes. Give schedules and boundaries. I had no curfews or bedtimes as a kid, not many rules. It was awesome as a teenager, but I had no motivation to do much of anything. My childhood was similar. No schedule, no boundaries. I could go to sleep at 5 AM to be at school at 8, but as long as I didn't commit crime and did good in school, my parents trusted me. 1. Don't smoke or drink while pregnant. 2. Don't take hallucinogens while on family vacations with toddlers. 3. Don't get into drunken brawls with each other while your kids cry. 4. Be involved and show interest in what they do. 100% no, because I told you so's. They deserve an explanation so they don't do the same dang thing wrong again. 100% no, because I told you so's. They deserve an explanation so they don't do the same dang thing wrong again. So they don't do the same dang thing wrong again. So they don't do the same dang thing. Oh my sweet summer child. I'm not expecting perfection or mini adults. I apologize honestly when I lose my temper or mess something up. I accept that something that may not seem important to me may actually be very important to them. As someone with helicopter parents, I will give my children a lot more freedom, to a certain degree. Kid wants to go hang out with friends for the day? Cool, just tell me when you're leaving and text me if you need any help. I'm not going to expect you to text me your exact location every time it changes. I will also make sure they know that they can talk to me about anything. We all make mistakes, and my own children should be able to talk to their parents about them without said parents forgetting any mistakes they ever made and being disappointed in their children. I will not beat them with jumper cables. What a shocking experience that must have been. Rather than saying I don't know when they ask something I don't know, I will look it up and explain whatever it is in a way that will encourage them to explore the topic on their own. Everyone has a plan until it's 2 AM and your kid doesn't want to go back to bed, so they just keep asking where the grey bad guys from the Power Rangers come from, until you eventually break down and just tell them that Rita Repulsa is their mother. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did. At this point I'm just becoming Calvin's dad. I won't beat my missus and leave when my kids are 6 years old. I'm not having a hard time being a better father as the bar was set pretty low. Way to look at it in a positive light. I'm sure you are far exceeding your father's example. I will allow them to make mistakes. By not having kids at all, my parents were kind of thrown into parenthood while still in university, so had to deal with raising me and brother while balancing study and work, which meant my brother and I had to raise ourselves mentally and emotionally. I struggled a lot as a kid, so all I remember is the emotional hardship, and since then I vowed never to bring another life into this world for fear that they would experience even a fraction of what I felt. Talk about money and physicality with my kids. They weren't very good with money, so we never talked about, which led me to blow every dollar I ever made the instant I got it. Thankfully my boyfriend is a finance major, so he's gotten me on track. The fact that many parents I meet don't talk about physicality or even call genitals by their real name just annoys me to no end. The only bad thing my parents do is tell us we're leaving to go somewhere 10 minutes before we leave. But that sounds like such a great way to get out of the house. Only 10 minutes worth of I don't want to instead of an hour or more. My dad had a philosophy that if he just did his best to raise us spiritually, that God would take care of the rest, but he neglected to teach me so many practical things and just neglected to show me he cared about things that I as a child cared about. He was also somewhat proud to not be held to what society considers normal for a father, so he never felt obligated to pay for anything, including driver's ed. I would have loved for him to care about my grades or help me get a license, even though he couldn't afford to send me through driver's ed. He also failed to teach his kids normal basic social understanding like courtesy and what boundaries are and how to have safe ones. So what I would do differently: 1. I am going to teach my kids all the skills they need to be a successful adult, and if they want to pursue the spiritual aspect, of course I will be supportive, but it won't be my focuses. For example, how to cook, drive, do their laundry, manners, how to budget, self-worth, work ethic, teach them how to apply for college etc. 2. I will support them financially in any way I can, and if I can't I will work and helping them find a way to make it happen and support them by being there to ask questions. 3. I will teach them social skills and what good healthy boundaries are and how to comfortably establish them. 4. I will care about the things they care about and make an effort to be a part of things they need my support on and be active in showing that. God, I'm so angry at my own parents now, but crap, I'm gonna be a good parent. I am probably one of the few who thinks my parents did a pretty good job raising me and my siblings. My only complaint is how unhealthy my family is. I had to try vegetables on my own growing up because I wanted to, not because my parents wanted me to. The vegetables we ate were canned corn, canned peas, canned green beans or potatoes. I was overweight my entire life up until recently, and it really affected my self-esteem. I'm super passionate about health and nutrition now while my entire family is obese and unhealthy. I don't want that for my kids. What's wrong with canned green beans? I'm going to feed them right. I grew up being fed junk and fast food. It's what my parents could afford, I guess. They may hate me for it when they're kids. They will thank me when they're fit and healthy lads or ladesses later in life. I'll use both hands instead of one to hold them up. Explain to them the real world and not shelter them. I would encourage their passions, even if they're not what I enjoy. They become a sporty kid, popular and athletic. Well honey, I guess I need to get heaps of sunscreen so I can cheer for you trackside, just like you deserve. I'll do my utmost to stop caring if the house is a bit messy. It doesn't have to be a perfect showroom all the time. I want to be there for my kids more. My mum spent my entire childhood cleaning and never playing with us, and I feel like she missed out on important opportunities to get to know us because she was obsessed with the floor being tidy. If it means I have to purposely live in a smaller place to prevent myself from constantly tidying up like she did, and no, she doesn't have OCD, just superficial, I will never raise my voice in an attempt to win an argument or exert power. That just teaches your children to be afraid, or that yelling back is the only way to get what you want. I want to teach them to negotiate and discuss things calmly. I won't drop the ball halfway through their childhoods because I planned them poorly and they become a burden. I will carefully make sure I have as many children as I can handle and treat each of them as they are, wanted and loved. Sure, it may mean a lot more effort as they grow older and ask more of me, but I'll let them know if I'm struggling rather than just step out of their lives and never return. I don't mean that my parents walked out on me, they just stopped being parents and started being really crummy housemates with power trips. I will be honest, no, this isn't a family tradition. Yes, I'd like you to go to church sometimes to experience it, but no, I don't believe you're going to heck if church worship isn't your thing. I want to teach and to guide, but where they end up is ultimately up to them. I won't spit insults at them if they want to marry someone I disapprove of, and I won't make them feel worthless if they don't live up to my lofty aspirations. I just want them to be happy and well adjusted. If I have a PhD and my son wants to be a plumber, then I hope he's the best darn plumber our city's ever seen. Teach them to freaking cook once I find out how to do so when I am currently at the age of 22. My parents encouraged me cooking from a young age, 11 or 12 I think. It made transitioning into living in my own apartment so much easier. So many people in college I knew only knew how to use a microwave. In teaching me proper cooking, my parents also taught me how to season food, which I think is important. I will not pass on an eating disorder to a third generation of women. I'm not going to call foods good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. Food is fuel, and it can be delicious and fun, not what you do when you're sad or a moral weakness or success. I will not call myself fat or disgusting in front of them. I thought my mother was the most beautiful woman in the world growing up, and listening to her speak so negatively about herself made me hate myself as I grew older. It will be a challenge with the way I still hate my body and how it will change with pregnancy and age. But it's worth it to give them a foundation of a good relationship with food. I'll teach them the value of money, both in saving it and spending it. My parents saved like crazy for their first house, bought it, and then despite dad having a very well paid job, they never bought new stuff or fancy stuff afterwards for decades. They could have invested in numerous properties or gone on several big interstate family individual holidays, but instead my family was very frugal and we lived as if we were lower middle class. For ages I had no idea on the value of money and could care less for it, which is not the greatest attitude to have when virtually nothing in life is for free and you have to work a decent job in order to afford anything. I'd also not tell them to just follow their passions or dreams. It's a nice concept, but I think there's value in being taught to take pride in working hard at whatever job you have. My kids are grown up, but I can tell you I did a lot of things differently than my parents. I told my kids at least once a day that I loved them and I was proud of them. We hugged a lot. I supported them and listened to them no matter what it was, and we talked about it. My son right up through high school would wake me up and tell me about his dates. I felt honored that he would do that. They both grew up to be really fine people with great careers, and my kids are still really close. Not be an alcoholic. My mother's not a bad person. She's just not very connected to reality. So my childhood was a lot of being neglected, living in substandard living conditions because my mother wanted things and she was okay with living like we did as long as she got the things she wanted, and being left to do as I wanted with no parental guidance. So if I have kids, I'm going to try to be the mother figure. Make sure they have a proper house and have proper health and hygiene. I'll be the one to do their hair and also show as much affection as I can. Because growing up without affection makes it freaking terrifying when you do get it, and that sucks. I'd visit my kids more. I moved out 7 years ago. My parents have visited once, for a few hours to drop off my stuff from home. Anytime I see the family, it's because I've flown there. They've said it's because my sister has kids. It's not like we have a bad relationship either. I just feel valued less because I don't have kids. Sure, maybe for a year or two I could agree with them. It'd be hard to make that many trips, but it's been 7 years and they don't have any hint of what my life is like. I've had the same schedule for years, the same address, and I've worked for the same company and they don't remember any of it. It just adds insult to injury. It's not a financial issue. They're capable of making time with one being retired and the other managing a minor business. They're just unwilling. It's been so long I don't even feel like I know them anymore. We do the occasional messages and holidays, but everything we talk about is so surface level. It's taken some kind of toll on me. I would never hit my kids. I wouldn't go extremely passive aggressive on them. And well, everything my mom did wrong. She was so horrible that the reason I opened my Reddit account was just to be an RA said narcissists. I joined for the same sub. My dad was the N, but my mom was also abusive and neglectful. In hindsight, it was a coping mechanism and a self-defense mechanism, but that doesn't make it right. I'll actually explain reasonings behind my decisions instead of because I said so. When I was a little kid, I was always really shy around adults. So when an adult asked me questions or talked to me, I would usually give kind of short answers. I guess my mom noticed this and basically started answering for me to give the adult a more complete answer. I'm 20 now and no longer am shy, but my mom constantly interrupts me as I am about to respond to something someone said, and she answers for me like I'm still 3 years old. I am freaking 20. I will not do any talking for my children. I would explain why I am punishing my children. Rather than just having a punishment, I would give them my full attention, if possible at that point in time, and I would do activities with them. If they gripe or complain about something, rather than discounting their opinions, I would listen to them and try to have a conversation about their feelings and see if there is an activity we all can agree on. You have been visited by the source Chihuahua. You will be blessed with good pasta, but only if you comment simmer well. Papa simmer well, Papa. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.